We watch while a lady by the name of Danny fixes up the still unfinished space. We see a camera snapping photographs automatically as she walks away. The action then shifts to an asylum, where we meet Ivan, an orderly who seems to be rather harsh and unkind to the patients. Then, Danny phones her husband, Dr. Ted, a psychiatrist who works at the same institution, after finding a space in the home with a weak network connection. She lets him know that she plans to spend the evening in their new home. In the midst of everything, Danny worries about her sister Darcy, who is experiencing health problems. She attempts to get in touch with Darcy to ask her to dinner tomorrow after she hangs up, but he doesn't respond. It then goes to twilight, and Danny puts up a tent inside the home to relax. In her voicemail, she tells her sister, "We are connected." Then, when she steps outside to get her jacket from the vehicle, she starts to hear odd sounds all around her. She is so terrified by this that she bolts back inside and shuts the door. Shortly after, we see Olin, a weird man, outside, and we discover he has a prosthetic eye. Danny was outdoors for a little time. He tells her that he's seen someone entering the home. Danny rejects Olin's plea to be let inside after he informs her that she is not safe. Olin responds that the doctor works the night shift, but she indicates that her husband will be back shortly. He turns out to be a recently released patient of Ted's who says he heard them through the walls. But Danny will not answer the door for a stranger, and if he persists, he will contact the police. Olin tells her to go ahead and do it for her own protection, even though this doesn't stop him. However, she confesses that she misplaced her phone, and Olin is also without one. Danny starts to think Olin is speaking the truth at that moment when she hears some sounds coming from within the home. So she walks cautiously up to the door and is ready to open it. The action then switches to a few days later when we witness asylum resident Declan Barrett sketching in his chamber. He is startled when he hears some odd sounds outside his door. When the sounds stop, he hides beneath his bed and gingerly ventures outside to look around. To his dismay, however, he finds a dead corpse with its head broken in pieces in the next room. When he picks up a prosthetic eye, he discovers that Olin is the true victim. The scene then jumps to a year later, when Ted goes to see Darcy, Danny's blind twin sister. She has a shop where she sells antiques and paranormal artifacts. Then Darcy shows Ted an old bell that she says is haunted. She tells how there used to be a cruel bellhop who detested his work, and one day he died after being shoved down the stairs while tending to an inebriated visitor. It seems that the bellboy's ghost linked itself to the bell, and the deceased bellboy would come racing if the bell is rung. Ted says they should ring the bell to see what happens, since he doesn't think these kinds of things happen. But Darcy tells him that the previous two persons who did so were discovered dead. Here, we find out that Olin was suspected by the police of killing Danny, who died dead on that same night. Ted then explains to Darcy that he saw her because Declan Barrett, one of his patients, passed away after a heart attack last week. During the process of organizing his possessions, they unexpectedly discovered Olin's artificial eye. When he questions her about why she wants the eye, Darcy says that she wants to know what Olin was thinking when he murdered her sister. She then proposes that they get together for dinner the following week, which also happens to be Danny's death anniversary. Ted nods in agreement before abruptly disclosing that he is seeing Yana. Darcy finds this upsetting as she thinks he moved on too soon. He clarifies, nevertheless, that Yana works as a pharmaceutical representative at his hospital and supported him throughout Danny's passing. Following Ted's departure, Darcy heads back to her apartment and opens the last voicemail that Danny left, which begins, "We are connected." She also mentions that she put up a time-lapse camera in an attempt to record any paranormal activity, but so yet, nothing has been detected. When Darcy touches the prosthetic eye, he is startled to see flashes of Olin's life. When she finds out the whole story, she goes back to her shop and takes out a holy trunk. 1 week later, Ted is seen getting ready to depart for work in the evening at his rural home. Yana becomes irritated and tells him she can't sleep at home by herself while he works nights. She then shows him the still existing photos of her and Ted on Danny's camera. However, she also displays an enigmatic picture of Danny from a chance snapshot taken 2 nights before, standing behind a door. Yana says she saw flashes of Danny about the home, but Ted brushes it off as double exposure. She so chooses to remain in her city apartment until Ted resumes normal work hours, believing it to be just a consequence of not getting enough sleep. Yana then presents Ted with a wooden trunk that Darcy provided as a gift. Darcy shows up to the home out of the blue before they can figure out what it is. When Darcy discloses that Ted had asked her to dinner a week before, the pair is taken aback to see her. He adds that they won't be able to eat supper together since he has to go to work, and Yana is departing for the city. However, Darcy says that she would prefer to remain even if it means being by herself since she is already here. After that, Darcy opens the trunk she sent and discovers it was her mother's. Ted pretends to be happy and thanks her, even though he doesn't appear to appreciate the present. Yana announces that she is annoyed by Darcy's sudden appearance as she makes her way to the restroom. Yana is outraged about the present, but Ted assures her that it will be disposed of after Darcy departs. Yana shuts the trunk after he leaves, and Darcy tells them that a wooden object is often given to a couple on their 5th wedding anniversary. She says a witch gave her parents this present on their 5th wedding anniversary. However, Yana snidely replies that she and Ted are still single and begs Darcy to return her present. Ted looks through Declan's file somewhere else in the asylum and finds odd drawings of a wooden mannequin attacking Olin. Yana returns home and is getting ready to go out for the city when she discovers the eerie wooden mannequin has been removed from the trunk. Darcy maintains that she didn't take it out despite Yana's question. Yana becomes irritated by this and tries to leave, but she can't seem to locate her vehicle keys. She is compelled to remain at the home since she has no other choice. The eerie wooden mannequin is there when the two sit down to dine in the next scene. When Darcy asks, Yana responds that she and Ted had known one another for 2 years. She makes it clear that they didn't begin dating until after the death of his wife. When Yana asks Darcy what her occupation is, she tells her that she owns an antique shop and is also a psychic. She claims that she may learn a great deal about a person's life by touching items that have had intimate contact with their skin. After that, the topic of Danny's death comes up, and Yana says she's afraid to be alone at home because she thinks one of Ted's patients will come and kill her. Darcy asserts, however, that her sister would not have been so stupid as to allow an unknown person inside the home at such an hour of the night. Then, with assurance, she declares that Olin did not kill her sister. The movie then rewinds to the night of the event, when Danny is still refusing to open the door, despite what she believes to be weird sounds. Olin tells her to be careful near the door and says he'll go into the city to notify the police. If she hears any odd noises, he tells her to flee the home. Danny hides in the tent after he departs, searching for her camera with a flashlight. She is horrified, however, as she looks through the pictures and finds a picture of a guy wearing a mask inside her house. In a panic, Danny opens the tent to see whether he is close, and suddenly, without warning, she is instantly killed by the masked guy who emerges in front of her with a hammer. Yana says that Olin was placed in the insane institution after being found guilty of killing his mother by abusing her. However, Darcy clarifies that his mother had already blinded him in one eye as a result of her abuse. He had to defend himself and killed her when she attempted to steal his other eye. In his shoes, Darcy continues, she would have taken the same action. When Yana hears this, she is perplexed and wonders, if Olin didn't kill Danny, then who did? Ivan asks Ted in the institution why he kept his wife's blind twin a secret. Ivan tells the doctor that he recently went to an antique shop and almost had a heart attack when he spotted someone who looked precisely like Danny there. The doctor asks how he found out. Ted gets a call at that very moment from a displeased Yana, informing him that she and Darcy are confined in the home because she can't locate her keys. She says that Darcy informed her that Ivan from their hospital was the real killer of her sister. Ted proposes Yana lock herself in the bedroom and make a commitment to return as soon as possible since he can't believe what he's heard and believes Darcy is not feeling well. Yana drops and breaks her phone after hanging up the phone because she is horrified to discover the wooden mannequin looking at her. However, a few moments thereafter, she spots the mannequin in its typical posture. Yana approaches the mannequin while Darcy is still asleep at the table and notices that it has many holes in its skull. She finds a variety of odd stuff within these holes. She discovers two pictures of Danny and Darcy, one from their childhood and the other from their mature years. She becomes scared when she finds a tooth and a bottle of blood. Abruptly, Darcy gets to his feet, shouting at her to return the items inside. Yana obeys in terror and bolts to her bedroom. Darcy, meantime, chants a spell while sitting close to the mannequin before dozing off once again. Yana starts viewing previous footage of Ted and Danny on camera in her bedroom. Although the video seems regular at first, Yana is shocked to see Danny's ghost a few seconds later. In the corner, she also sees Danny's spirit pleading with her to go. Yana then goes downstairs right away and attempts to wake Darcy, but he doesn't wake up. The lady eventually locates her vehicle keys within the trunk after hearing sounds emanating from it. She then dashes outside and encounters Danny's ghost at the door once again. Yana ultimately leaves the ghostly mansion in a panic. When Ted eventually gets back to the home, he finds Darcy by himself in a dimly lit nook. When he inquires about Yana's whereabouts, she cryptically replies that Danny frightened her away. Ted then questions her about her allegations concerning Danny's death, and Darcy keeps blaming Ivan. She admits that she killed Olin because she thought he was the killer at first, and now she has to pay for taking the life of an innocent man. Ted speculates that Darcy could be having hallucinations after hearing this. Considering that they had never met, he questions how Ivan could have murdered Danny. Surprisingly, however, Darcy says he followed Ted's instructions. Rather of killing Danny, she claims Ted ought to have informed her he no longer loved her and that he wanted a divorce. At a flashback, Ted and Ivan are seen planning the murder of his wife at his office. Ted responds that Danny loves him too much and will never be able to move on when Ivan asks why he can't simply get a divorce. Moreover, he stands to lose the mansion in which he has spent all of his life money if she finds out about Yana. Ted won't wait for Ivan's suggestion to frame the murder as a heist by waiting until the home is furnished. Olin is listening in on a vent in his cell when he hears what is being said. He attempts to get ahead of them and alert Danny after realizing what the two are plotting. Presently, Darcy informs Ted that while she had initially intended to murder him, she now thinks it would be worse to expose him. She anticipates that he will lose everything: his girlfriend, his house, and his career. Ted, however, angrily refutes her claims and questions her level of confidence in Detective Peter, the person handling Danny's case. Ted proposes that Darcy contact Peter and clarify what she just said, because Darcy admits she does. He says Peter is going to show her the proof that Olin is the killer. Ted says he will go to Peter's office and ask him to call her, but he doesn't have his phone number. He puts his phone on the table in front of her and asks her to take it up when the investigator calls. After that, Ted leaves the home, leaving Darcy sobbing in sorrow for her sister. However, he goes directly to his office and contacts Darcy at home instead of seeing Detective Peter. In a flashback, Ted is shown opening the trap door in front of her, even though he knows she is blind and would fall to her death. Regretfully, Darcy stumbles downstairs as he hurries to answer the phone. Ivan is asked whether he told Darcy anything by Ted, who still doesn't think that anything supernatural can happen. Darcy responds that he didn't talk to Ivan at all. Then, Ted admits that she had somehow discovered, and he gives Ivan the order to go to his home and kill her. Ivan discovers that Darcy is still alive when he sees her laying on the floor after first seeing the wooden mannequin when he first gets to the home. Ted gets an update from Ivan on her condition, and he tells him that she won't be around for long. The dying Darcy is then told not to worry, as it is almost over, by him. As Darcy is chanting some charms, Ivan is ready to depart when he hears some unusual sounds coming from below. Darcy then abruptly lifts her hand in the air and declares, "We are connected." As Ivan turns to depart, he notices the wooden mannequin. All of a sudden, the mannequin is alive. Ivan attempts to escape by jumping from the first level, but he injures his leg in the process and goes back upstairs. Soon after, the guy comes up to him and grabs his head with the intention of crushing his skull. However, Darcy only notices her sister grinning and observing her from the trap door. The wooden guy subsequently stops moving when she eventually passes away. Ivan, who has made it through, is seen strapped to a bed at the institution in the next scene. Ted welcomes him and tells him that they are unable to release him because of his past crimes. Then he asks what transpired in the home, and Ivan tells him about being chased and assaulted by the wooden mannequin. The doctor, who would never accept this, asserts that he couldn't have carried the mannequin outside and burned it if it had been true. Then, in order to confess to a priest about all of his heinous deeds, Ivan makes this plea. Ted reminds out that talking about him might be problematic, despite his assurances not to talk about him. It turns out that Ted hired Ivan after he recovered from his previous status as a patient. The physician worries that if others discover that he had a friendship with a psychopath, his reputation would suffer. Ted leaves the room and releases a hazardous patient who is a cannibal after saying this. This guy attacks Ivan right away and finishes up consuming his foul-smelling limb. Subsequently, Ted is seen leaving the home and coming back while checking Yana's voicemail. She's made the decision to break up with him. She also questions how he can continue to reside in the same home where 2 unexplained deaths occurred. Ted discovers a parcel that Darcy's business delivered when he gets there. He discovers the bell inside, which Darcy had said was haunted by the bellboy. Ted, thinking that the narrative is just a fiction, sets it down on the table and hits the button bravely. At first, he laughs at the bell and nothing occurs. However, as the film draws to a close,